Laura. Good morning. It's Friday morning, and I am finishing this episode, which is number 8. I did want to share with you guys that I heard from 2 very special people who reminded me our home room was alphabetized. I had completely forgotten that. But then I heard from, are you ready? Mark Valenti, V-A-L, get it? Then there was Laura Van Warmer, V-A-N, get it? And then I heard from Claire Varney, V-A-R, get it? It was very fun to hear from those 2. Mark is in Tennessee, and Claire is in Charleston, and I'm glad you're paying attention. So we're at episode 8. We left Cynthia just hearing the news that something more has happened to Evan. So we got to find out what that is. Okay, here we go. The class of 74. Episode 8. Dissension in the Ranks. Mr. Schyler stopped Cynthia and Mimi on the stairs and sent them back down to the kitchen to wait. Cynthia was finding it hard to breathe. She was scared. They used to have a kid in their class who had fits, seizures, but there had always been so many kids crowded around him when he had one, she had never actually seen what happened. She only knew he didn't remember them. And then his father got moved by IBM. That's what it stood for. I've been moved. And she never knew what happened to him. A seizure. When her mother came into the kitchen, Cynthia rushed into her arms, starting to cry. Her mother hugged her, saying there was no reason to. Evan was doing just fine. His mother had been right there with him when it happened, this morning a little after 10 o'clock. It had lasted 1 minute, 39 seconds, and then he came right out of it. She released Cynthia, grabbing some Kleenex and handing it to her. Nothing else had happened since, but they moved Evan to Yale New Haven Hospital in case further tests were needed. His parents were both with him. Dr. Reynolds, Dr. Whitaker's partner in his practice, had just left the Whitakers and said Evan was very much himself, only very, very tired, which was normal. I took a lot of notes, her mother explained, gesturing to a bunch of oak-tag bookmarks her father was sifting through. I want you to go upstairs, dear, and change, and then meet us outside at the garden, and we'll talk. And maybe we'll do some weeding. You won't have to weed, her father told Mimi, but I hope you'll come out with us. Be good to get it straight in our minds exactly what happened. Cynthia went upstairs, feeling numb. She put on an old Endless Summer t-shirt of her sister's and an old pair of Evan's cotton gym shorts, faded, the most comfortable things on the planet. From the top of the stairs, she could hear the sounds of Bloody Marys being prepared. Ice trays, liquor cabinet door, refrigerator door, the clunk of an empty bottle of Clamato tossed in the garbage, and she waited until she heard the screen door to the terrace swing shut before going into her parents' bedroom. They had a king-size bed and huge windows that overlooked the lawn, the marsh, and Glen River. She looked down into the backyard. Her father was dragging folding chairs out of the shed. She walked around to his side of the bed, opened the drawer of his nightstand, picked up the metal cigarette case and pulled it apart, revealing an open pack of Pall Malls inside. She took out a cigarette, closed the case, tapped the cigarette on the box like her father did, and held it between her lips while she struck a wooden 21 Club match to light it. They were strong. It was strange to think all cigarettes used to be like this. Poor Evan. She picked up the ashtray and moved to the foot of the bed to keep an eye on her parents while she smoked. Her mother was walking out with Mimi, carrying a tray with Bloody Marys, box of Triscuits. Why did her mother think anyone liked Triscuits? And a bowl of ice cream she assumed was for Mimi. There was also a glass of Tab on the tray, with a wedge of lemon on the rim she knew was meant for her. She watched Mimi chat with her father. It was funny how easily she fit in around here. Of course, her parents were feeling sorry for Mimi. Why, she still didn't really know. The telephone rang, startling her. She walked around to her mother's side of the bed to pick up. Hello? Hi, it's me, Annabel said. Evan had a seizure. Oh, I know, Annabel said. My mom just told me. How does she know? Who knows, Annabel said. Smoke signals, I guess. How is he? Mom said he's fine, but I'm supposed to be outside with my parents right now to hear what happened. They took him to Yale, New Haven. Why there? I don't know. Are you going to go see him? I guess, if I'm allowed to, and if I can find someone who will take me. I assume you've heard the whole Forest Hills trip has been nixed. No, I didn't hear anything. The tournament schedule is all messed up after the rain last weekend. No one even knows when the final's going to be. They only played the quarterfinal today. Oh, did you hear? Chrissie Evert won again today. She beat Durr in straight sets. Cynthia and Annabel had gone to Forest Hills with the tennis team from the country club a week ago. It was for the very first round, so there weren't any important matches, but they got to walk around and see lots of stars. Cynthia found Arthur Ashe all by himself practicing his serve and got his autograph. They went to one of the secondary courts to watch the 16-year-old from Florida everybody was talking about, Chrissie Evert, who was like a junior in high school. Cynthia was taller than she was, but boy, was she good. Not terribly exciting to watch, though, because she played everything from the baseline. She never rushed the net, and she wasn't big on showing emotion. Watching Etta Boudin play her was kind of like watching someone trying to beat a backboard. She also had a weird two-handed backhand Cynthia had never seen before. She looked like a child who couldn't hold on to her racket, but it worked for her. She won. Evert's second-round match on Saturday was spectacular, and they got to see most of it on TV. Evert had lost the first set against Marianne Eisel and was going down fast, but she slowly made it back to 5 games each. Then Eisel moved ahead to 6 games to 5, and she had Evert at 40-love for match point. But with her weird backhand, Evert blasted Eisel's first serve right down the line. So then it was 40-15, still match point. Eisel slammed her first serve in, and Evert slammed a service return winner with her forehand. The crowd went wild. Eisel got rattled and double faulted. So then it was deuce, and it would beat deuce 3 more times. And when it was match point for Eisel, and she had an open court to deliver a winner, she choked, hitting a forehand volley wide. So it was deuce again. But Eisel hit a backhand volley into the net, and then Evert broke her serve with a passing shot. So there they were, all tied up at 6 games apiece. Cynthia saw her first tiebreaker. Chrissie was finally sure of herself and won the first 2 points with her serve. Eisel won her first serve, but then hit another backhand volley into the net. Then Evert drove a passing shot down the line to make it 4-1, and then out-rallied her opponent back and forth, finally winning her 5th and match-winning point. An amateur player, a junior in high school, clearly a champion in the making. It was tremendously exciting. So now she'll have to play Billie Jean King, right? Cynthia asked. Yeah, but she doesn't have a prayer because Billie Jean King doesn't get rattled. It's going to be on Saturday now, but the weather is iffy even for that. Dad's been trying to get tickets to something on Saturday so they can go in because my mother's been putting her outfit together for 2 weeks. But it's not happening, so they're not going anywhere. Why didn't you tell me Clay Seton asked you out? Why didn't you tell me you were inviting Katey Langston overnight? I did, Annabel said. Not until after you did it and it was all decided. Come on, Cynthia, you were babysitting. And I think it's a lot more important the best-looking guy in our class asked you out and you said boo to me about it. Nothing. Because I don't even know if it'll happen, she muttered, glancing outside. She took a last drag and put out the cigarette. I've got to go. Cynthia, what's the matter with you? Clay Seton asked you out. Why aren't you happy? Because I feel guilty for even thinking about it. Look at what's happened to Evan. But you're not even going out with Evan. We were supposed to go out on Saturday, and I was supposed to ask you to come along, but then all this crazy stuff happened. She looked outside. I told Evan I loved him last night. He was all beat up, Annabel said. What else were you supposed to say? Oh, I don't know, she said, curling to press her forehead to her knees for a second. She sat up. I just want him to be okay. He'll be fine. Guys like Evan are always fine. I mean, look at my brother, Cynthia. How many pucks has Greg taken in the head? How many trips to the hospital has he made? My father says unless he starts wearing a helmet, he's not paying the ice time fees anymore. But Greg says, no way. If Bobby Orr doesn't wear a helmet, he's not wearing a helmet. And Dad said, fine, he can get Bobby Orr to pay his ice fees out of his new $1 million contract with the Bruins. Cynthia needed to go outside, but she felt like she needed to say something more about Annabel inviting Katey Langston overnight. It had been bothering her ever since Katey said something. She had introduced them. She was upset, she knew, because she couldn't be there too. She'd see them on Saturday, but it wouldn't be the same. They'd know each other a lot better by then. Oh, she was upset and unhappy about everything. She didn't like high school. She felt guilty about wanting to go out with Clay. She felt sick and scared about what happened to Evan. And Katey Langston, whom she didn't even know, liked Annabel better. Other than that, everything was great. She got off the phone with Annabel, dumped the cigarette butt and matchstick into her parents' John, wiped the ashtray clean with a Kleenex, flushed the John, put the ashtray back, and headed outside. When she arrived at the vegetable garden, she found her parents well settled in old beach chairs, sipping their Clamato Bloody Marys. Mimi was laid out in a lounge chair with ice cream like Cleopatra on her barge, and a pair of gardening gloves, a kneeling mat, an old plastic garbage can, and a glass of Tab over ice with a slice of lemon was waiting for Cynthia, sitting on one of the railroad ties around the garden. Sitting next to it were some beefsteak tomatoes someone had picked. Ashette was lying at her mother's feet, eyeing the Triscuits. Her parents were great believers in assigning work of a progressive nature to her if she was upset. In their view, if she started weeding while they talked, she would be doing something constructive instead of just fretting, and any sense of progress or accomplishment she gained from weeding would help counter her distress. Yeah, right. Her mother was on the 20-something-year plan at Fairfield University for a bachelor's degree in psychology. No one was holding their breath. Cynthia didn't mind weeding tonight. She needed something to do because she wasn't sure how closely she wanted to listen to what happened to Evan. The whole thing was frightening. If she lost control of her body, she couldn't imagine it. She didn't want to imagine it. Just the idea of having diarrhea or throwing up completely freaked her out. Her parents were still sorting the bookmarks her mother had taken notes on. A seizure, her mother read, is when the electrical impulses in the brain for some reason go awry. Like a short circuit, her father said. It happened shortly after 10 this morning while Evan and his mother were talking in the kitchen. She picked up another bookmark. Evan had come downstairs, complaining he was feeling weird, a little dizzy, and had a headache. Then he stopped speaking. Next bookmark. Mrs. Whittaker recognized what might be happening, but she couldn't move fast enough. Cynthia was already in her weeding rhythm. She'd been doing it since she was 4. Pull, 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 throw in the bucket. Pull, 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 throw in the bucket. Move the mat. Pull, 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 throw in the bucket. New bookmark. Evan keeled over out of his chair onto the floor. Cynthia held her breath, picking weeds faster. As I told you before, it lasted 1 minute, 39 seconds. Mrs. Whittaker timed it because she's a nurse and she knew it was important. Next bookmark. The fact it lasted under 2 minutes is encouraging. Cynthia let out her breath. What happened to him? On the floor, I mean. His muscles went into spasm. His arms and legs twitching and jerking. It's like a short circuit, her father said again. The electricity jumps off its track, where it should run, and sends charges to nerve endings, which are wired to muscles and causes them to react. Muscles in his arms, legs, and back, her mother read from a piece of oak tag. It's called the ictal stage. No, ictal phase. Cynthia bowed her head for a moment, tears coming into her eyes. When it was over, Evan was almost immediately alert. That's very important. There was a tinkle of ice against glass as her mother took a sip of her Bloody Mary. Then Cynthia heard her light a cigarette. Mrs. Whittaker made him lie there for 15 minutes to make sure the event was over. Cynthia tried to steady her breath and resume weeding. Was he awake while it was happening? No, but that's not necessarily bad. It's often the way it is for people who never have a seizure ever again. Is this the next one? Her father asked, holding up a bookmark. Yes. Mrs. Whittaker called an ambulance and rode with him to Stamford Hospital, where they x-rayed his head and confirmed there was no fracture in his skull. What about bleeding on the brain? Her father asked. Cynthia squeezed her eyes shut for a moment. Perspiration and tears were all mixed up in her eyes, clouding them. They can't see that in an x-ray, Bill. I know that much, her father said, but isn't there another way to tell what's going on inside? Well, yes. Give me the bookmark in your hand. He did. They can do what they call a cerebral angiography. Angiography, her father said. Right, her mother said. That's when they inject a dye in the arteries. Exactly right, Bill. A contrast dye that can show areas of bleeding in the brain in x-rays, she read. Dr. Reynolds said they hadn't done that yet, and that's why they took him up to Yale. It's not an easy procedure, nor is it without risk, so they're holding off, hoping there are no more symptoms. You mean more seizures, Cynthia said. Move the mat. Pull, pull, pull. Throw in the bucket. Pull, pull, pull. Throw in the bucket. There could be other symptoms too, sweetie. Dizziness, nausea. But yes, they want to see if there is another seizure. In which case, if it did happen, they're right there at Yale to do the, what did you call it, Bill? Angiography. It's the same thing they use to see inside heart and to see circulation problems. So that's it, dear. Now you know as much as we do. Evan is in excellent hands. His parents are with him, and there is every reason to be optimistic. Are we having any of that pizza? Her father wanted to know. If anyone's hungry, sure. I'm hungry, her father said, standing up. Let's just leave the chairs out tonight, shall we? Okay, her mother said. Come in when you feel like eating something, Cynthia. Okay. I need to turn on News 88, her father said as her parents walked to the house, to hear what's going on in upstate New York. Why? What's going on in upstate New York? A prison uprising. Inmates outside of Buffalo are holding a bunch of guards hostage and are in control of a huge part of the prison. You're joking, her mother said. How did they accomplish that? Meticulous planning, I imagine, based on the prison's routine. Well, you would know, her mother said. No, it's not like the prison camps, Liz. Sounds like their desperation is the same. Why would they do something like this when they know what's going to happen to them? Their voices faded and then altogether disappeared after they went inside. Cynthia saw a tick on her glove. She smushed it between her fingers and flicked the remains. She shut her eyes. God, please help Evan. What? Mimi said. She didn't realize Mimi was still out here. Nothing. Why don't you go in and get some pizza? Are you coming in? In a little while. Okay, I'll see you inside. Cynthia crawled over to where her tab was, sat on the railroad tie and had a big drink. Tasted really, really good. It had taken her a while to get off Coca-Cola, but now Coke tasted so sickly sweet to her she wouldn't go near it. Oh boy, she had a lot of homework to do, except for economics. She smiled to herself. She'd wait until she understood more before trying to talk to her father about price controls. She wondered why Mr. Bojanski kept writing down question marks. No doubt he thought he needed to look a few things up. But where did people look things up when it sounded like the president was making up stuff as he went along? Just for fun, she'd stop in at the library at school tomorrow and ask the librarian where she could read about President Nixon's price controls and see what she said. She resumed weeding and heard the telephones ringing in the house. A couple of minutes later, she heard the screen door slam. Come on, kiddo, her father called. On the double. She stood up, took off her gloves, and swiped up her glass of tab to carry with her inside. Her mother was smiling. New Haven's a toll call, so apparently Evan can't call you from his hospital room. But this is the number of his phone, and you can call him. I'll dial it for you. Cynthia put the gardening gloves down on the counter, which her mother promptly picked up and walked over to leave in the sink. Evan, it's Mrs. Schyler calling. We're wishing you all the best, dear, and saying a few prayers. She nodded, smiling. Yes, well, she's right here, as it so happens. Hold on. Not even the longest phone cord known to man was long enough to allow Cynthia to find some privacy. She took the phone from her mother. Hi. Hey. He sounded tired. You succeeded in scaring everybody. Tell me about it, he said. I scared me, too. I bet. But I'm not scared now. I feel really good. Good. Wait, hang on. He covered the phone. Then it came back on. Mom and Dad send their best. And to her parents, she heard Mrs. Whitaker call. Yes, he murmured. Okay, finally, they just left to get something to eat. They've been hanging over me all day, driving me nuts. They were worried, but I feel fine. I haven't been the least bit dizzy. Just tired. I ate a big dinner and everything. Evan, he felt fine last night too, she reminded him. No, I really didn't. I was pretty spacey, and that's how I felt this morning too. But I felt absolutely fine since seizure, she said. He shouldn't pretend nothing happened. Don't start talking to me like I'm about to kick the bucket. But wonder if you are, she thought. People get clobbered all the time, but they don't have seizures all the time. But they do. I've been hearing about it all day. This one doctor thinks I'm lucky I had a seizure, so I'll slow down and not get whacked in the head right away. You can't imagine the things they're threatening to do to me if I don't keep quiet. Like what? Shoot some dye crap in my veins so my brain lights up like a Christmas tree on an X-ray? Mom said something about that, but you'd have to have another seizure before they did that to you, right? I guess. But then there's this other Dr. Frankenstein procedure they were talking about, injecting air into my spinal fluid. Cynthia grimaced. I told Mom and Dad there's no friggin' way I'm letting someone stick a needle in my spine. You will if they need to, she thought, but she didn't say it. She let him sound off for a while. How his parents kept looking at each other as if he wasn't watching them do it. The ridiculous hospital gowns, people constantly poking and prodding him, nobody letting him take a nap, then some lawyer coming in to talk to his parents. And then to top everything else off, he finished, I found out my mother's not Catholic. What? What is she, Episcopalian like my mother? No, not like your mother, not at all like your mother. Look, they're coming back. Call me tomorrow and I'll tell you about it. It's a trip and a half, Cynthia. It's really wild. After she got off, she went in to tell her parents how normal Evan sounded. They were eating dinner on TV trays, watching Flip Wilson. She announced she was going to take a bath, grabbed a napkin and a piece of pizza in the kitchen, and ate it on her way upstairs. She drew a nice hot bath and fell asleep in it, waking up to find it cold. She felt as though someone had hit her over the head with a sandbag. She felt so tired. She scrawled a note, will do homework at 5 a.m., and left the note on the floor in the hall outside her door because she was too lazy to go look for a piece of tape, and then she stumbled into bed. She had nightmares about being chased by a murderer. Her alarm went off at 5. She went downstairs, made a cup of instant black coffee, and started her homework, though she didn't feel like doing it. Her hair was a nightmare because she had slept on it wet. Oh, who cared? She hated high school anyway. She couldn't go out with Evan this weekend. She had told Clay she couldn't go out with him either. Annabel was having Katey over tonight, and she had to babysit and felt like she had nothing to look forward to. Her mother came in at 6 to make coffee in the percolator. What's all this change doing on the counter? I'm going to call Evan today from school, and I don't know how much it's going to be. Can't imagine it'd be more than 50 cents, her mother said, turning on the radio. They listened to how the inmates outside Buffalo, New York, had taken 42 guards hostage yesterday and were largely in control of the prison. Wow, Cynthia said. Her mother turned the radio off. I don't want to have an argument with your father this morning. Argument about what? About how desperate those prisoners must be to have done this. I'm sure the bank tellers they stuck up were pretty desperate too, Cynthia said. Now you sound like your father's daughter. Well, Cynthia said they shouldn't have sold drugs and murdered people and stuff. They're human beings, Cynthia, and they're crying for help. They are trapped and they're isolated from everybody. God only knows what's been going on inside there. They're in prison, Mom. What do they think it's supposed to be like? How do you know what it's like in that prison, Cynthia? How does anyone know what's truly going on? Cynthia shrugged. I don't know, visiting day? Her mother tossed a dish towel at her. She heard her father coming down the hall. His knee always clicked when he walked. Morning, kiddo. Honey, turn on the radio, will you? I want to hear what's going on at Attica Prison. Cynthia fled. As soon as she started walking up Glen River, she regretted wearing pants. It was so humid out, and she was hot already. It also looked like it might rain, and she didn't bring an umbrella. Cynthia was surprised to see Professor Allerton in his strange foreign car from Sweden, and it was called a Saab. He was parked at the end of the Allerton's driveway. He had the window rolled down, and his arm was hanging down the side of the car door. Rather than waving at her, he merely lifted his fingers from the door as a greeting, as though the door might fall off if he didn't hold on to it. He was a very strange man, supposedly a scientific genius, but he wasn't Albert Einstein or anything, and he needed to get a haircut. Good morning, Professor Allerton, Cynthia said. He was wearing something that looked like an artist's smock over a white undershirt. My son is a dope, he said, staring straight ahead. Cynthia waited for elaboration, but none came. Is Clarke running late? I wish Clarke would run away, the professor said. He sprayed himself in the face with red paint. That's what he said, but I think his mother sprayed him so he would leave her alone. Oh boy. Professor Allerton was always out there somewhere, but he never said he wished Clarke would run away before. Maybe I should go see if he's all right, Cynthia said. He's fine. He's just red. Suddenly, he fell forward over the steering wheel, and Cynthia realized he was laughing. What a lame brain! What a goose! What a dumb cluck, he laughed. Cynthia took a breath and started moving toward the house. A shadow passed the window on the second floor, which was probably Mrs. Allerton. Poor Clarke. When she reached the front walk, she called, Clarke, are you going to walk to school? He stepped out of the garage. I can't. Look at me. I tried turpentine. The whole side of his face was pink. Rubbing your face with turpentine couldn't be good for it, but there was still red residue in places, like in his ear and in his hair. Never mind, Clarke. Come on, let's go. If anyone asks, just say you had an accident while working on your car. I don't have a car. It's a figure of speech. Come on, let's go. High school's stupid anyway. Who cares what anyone thinks? Except maybe Mr. Zollner. Maybe you could talk to Mr. Zollner about what happened to you. My father spray painted me, Clarke said. He said I was annoying. Cynthia frowned. What's wrong with him? I irritate him, that's all. And he wants to work on his book. I irritate my parents too, Clarke, but they don't spray paint me. She looked at him. How come after all this time I never knew your father picked on you? He doesn't pick on me. He gets irritated, 'cause he's older. Why have I never known about it? He shrugged. I don't know. Maybe because we never walked to school together before. That was true. They had always taken a bus with lots of other kids, and for a couple of years, not even to the same schools. Well, Clarke, she finally said, as your friend and neighbor, I have to tell you, this is nuts. Fathers aren't supposed to spray paint their kids. She started laughing. She couldn't help it. It was nuts. And after he watched her a while, he laughed a little too. I mean, Clarke, what else can you do but laugh and go to school and talk about working on your imaginary car? Come on, let's go. Did you see my father? Yeah, he was parked. She turned around, but Professor Allerton and his weird foreign car were gone. He was at the end of the driveway. She turned back around. Come on, Clarke, I don't want to be late. Let me get my books, he said, hurrying into the garage. She felt relieved. His only hope was school. When he came back out, he unbuttoned his top button and they made their way down the driveway. I suffered a mishap while I was working on my car, he said slowly. But you gotta laugh when you say it, Clarke. You know, like it was just one of those ludicrous things that happen sometimes. It was a ludicrous thing, he said. They walked to school. No one offered to pick them up. No one stopped. No one even honked. As they crossed the student parking lot, Clarke drew a few looks, but nobody said anything. Okay, I'm going to homeroom now. Wish me luck. Good luck, Cynthia called. Got a new boyfriend? Ryann Corbett asked as she climbed out of what looked like a new Pinto. What happened to Pimple Face? Cynthia wanted to use the F word in the worst way, but instead she put a hand on her hip and stared at Ryann. Really stared, like she was a Saturday morning cartoon sending death rays at Ryann out of her eyes. You're weird, Marianne finally said, locking her car and walking away. Cynthia continued to stare at her while she made her way across the parking lot. At the sidewalk, Marianne turned around to look. Yep, I'm still staring, Marianne, and I'm going to stare you right into the ground with my death ray eyes. Hi, Cynthia, a young woman said. Are you okay? Oh, great. It was Jackie Defoe, a very popular senior girl. She's been watching her do death ray eyes with her hair sticking out all over the place. Cynthia smiled. Hi, Jackie. Nice to see you. Been a long time, Cynthia. You look great. How's 10th grade? Awful. Except for right now, because I get to see you. Oh, brother, she sounded like a blushing schoolgirl. Well, she was a blushing schoolgirl, wasn't she? Jackie Defoe was one of the most popular girls in Brighton. She did gymnastics, she was on the tennis team, she wrote for the newspaper, and she was a candy striper. She was friends with Suzanne Slater and had always been very nice to Cynthia because Jackie was nice to her core. She looked so grown up, so demure. Jackie could probably get into bars in New York where the drinking age was only 18. There were rumors the drinking age was going to change soon in Connecticut, too, to 18. Wouldn't that be something? Nixon had already signed the bill dropping the voting age from 21 to 18. If you're old enough to fight, then you're old enough to vote. She walked into her homeroom. Do we have to sit in the same seat every morning, Mr. Bojanski? Given your starring role on the PA system, I certainly know your name, Miss Schyler, but I need a little more time to learn the others. She laughed until she saw Betsy's expression as she approached her seat. Hi, Cynthia said to her. Why wouldn't you be my chemistry partner? Betsy wanted to know. I saw you look away yesterday. Because you make me pale in comparison, she said calmly, and I'm going to need all the help I can get with all those molecules. I would help you, Cynthia. Oh, I know you would, Betsy, because you're really smart, but you're too smart, too good looking, and your handwriting is clear, and you can sketch, and if we were partners, the teacher would take one look at you and your lab book and think, A, and then look at me and my lab book in comparison and think C, maybe C minus. If I'm partners with a normal person, I can start looking possibly like a B minus. Well, that's stupid. It's reality, Cynthia said. The bell rang. Mr. Bojanski started to take attendance. Robeson, Jane. Here. Rossi, Marco. Mark. Mr. Bojanski made a note on the attendance sheet, and Clay came in, giving Cynthia a huge smile. Morning, he whispered, taking a seat. Good morning, she said, feeling guiltier than ever. Did he have to be so nice? He was wearing a light blue shirt with white stripes. Wasn't polyester, but cotton, as in requiring an iron and starch. It looked great. He promptly started rolling up his sleeves. Russo, Henderson. Russo, Henderson. I.A., Henry Smith said. Missing in action is what he meant. Not funny, Mr. Bojanski said. Rylander. Thaddeus. Here. Ted, please. Okay. Ted. How was football practice? Cynthia whispered to Clay. Brutal, as usual, he whispered back. Sackett. Maria. Here. It will get better, though. Sanzio. Paul. Here. It's just the first couple of weeks that are pretty tough. Satterfield. Elizabeth. Here. Betsy, please. Right. What position do you play? Schyler. Cynthia is here, Mr. Bojanski answered himself. Quarterback on JV, Clay said. Seton. Clay. Here. He lowered his voice. And wide receiver on varsity. Wow, Cynthia said. Smith. Cornelia. Katey, please. Katey. Smith. Henry C. Called me Alias. Groans. Alias Smith and Jones was on TV. Spaulding. Genevieve. Jenny, please. Stevens. Jurgen. Gerbil, Mr. Alias Smith called. Jurgen didn't react. He was very, very shy. That's enough, Mr. Smith. Stinderdal. Kurt. Here. Tynan. Liliana. Here. Lily, please. Okay. Tiziano. Edmund. Ed. Here. Tommaso. Ellen. Here. Tompkins. Sarah. Tompkins. Sarah. Okay, no Sarah Tompkins. Town. Henrietta. Mr. Bojanski looked around. This makes 3 days. Does anyone know Henrietta? No? Well, better check this out. Varley. Barker. Just call me Woof Woof, Smith said. Is Barker Varley here? Mr. Bojanski asked. No Woof Woof, Smith said. Not to be confused with Mr. Wolfgang Zollner, Cynthia said under her breath. Clay turned. Are you in Theater 323? He asked. Who, me? Vanderhofer. Gretchen. Here. He smiled. Yes, you. You have real presence. She's got something, Betsy said, leaning forward to look at Clay, which I do not get at all. Watson. Amelia. She's still out, Cynthia called. Westover. Bert. Here. Whitaker. Evan. He's still out with his injury. He peered over at her. What injury? Concussion, bruised kidney, cracked rib. And seizure, she thought. Oh, Mr. Bojanski said, remembering. That's the locker boy. Oh, he'll like that, Cynthia said. What was that, Miss Schyler? I said Evan will like that. First there was Superman, and then came Locker Boy. Everybody laughed. Good one, Clay said. Wilkins, Catherine. Here. Clay leaned forward. How are cheerleading tryouts going, Betsy? Almost 100 girls came out yesterday. Wyatt, Heyman, Jeff. Mr. Bojanski looked up. How did you get Jeff from Heyman? Through an I. Excuse me? Hammond, H. Go past I, then you get to J. J is for Jeff. Everybody groaned. Are you Mr. Wyatt? Yes, sir. Jeff Wyatt. Gerbil Wyatt, alias Smith, piped up. Yarbrough, Rosalie. Here. Zimmerman, Diane. Here. The announcements went on, which was sort of interesting, since she had never heard them all before. When homeroom was over, Cynthia waltzed across the hall to geometry, put her books down where she had sat the last 2 days with Robbie, and since Katey and Annabel weren't going to go anywhere near Robbie, she went outside to say hi to them on their way in. Katey zoomed in on her immediately, latching onto Cynthia's arm. What is going on between you and Teddy? Nothing, she said automatically. If you want to go out with him, I can step aside. Go out with him? Are you kidding? No. I know something's going on, Cynthia. I may be new to Brighton, but I can tell when we're going the long way around to school to avoid seeing you. How does avoiding me translate into me wanting to go out with him? I think he was distancing himself from you, so I didn't see how you guys are looking at each other. Katey, I saw how you guys were looking at each other yesterday, and Teddy's been different around me ever since. I think he likes you. Likes me? Are you crazy? Look at me, Katey, and look at you. I am looking at you, Cynthia. You're very attractive. And those breasts, she added, looking down. Cynthia nearly fell over. She was so surprised. She felt herself blush. Katey thought she was attractive? Trust me, Katey, he doesn't like me, and I don't particularly like him either. She frowned. What am I missing? How did you go from thinking he was a hunk to not liking him? The bell rang. It's not that I don't like him, Cynthia said, rushing. We have to go in. I'll talk to you later about it. Where's Annabel? Annabel never showed up to geometry, which was strange. At lunchtime, Cynthia headed for the payphone. It cost her 40 cents to call New Haven, and then she had to sink 10 cents in every 2 minutes after that. What a ripoff. Evan was really glad to hear from her, and he didn't sound nearly so tired. They finally fixed my TV this morning, so now I have something to do. What time is it? She asked him. 12:05. Jeopardy's on Channel 4, which you like. And then at 1, the Who, What, or Where game comes on. But you should turn to Channel 7 to watch Password, because that's the best, and it's an hour long now. Oh, that sounds good. Are your parents there? Dad's at work, and Mom went somewhere with this lawyer guy. I tell you, Cynthia, it's been really strange around here. Yesterday and today. I don't even know who my parents are anymore. I'm so confused. Why? What's going on? He sighed. Well, to start with, and I don't know how you're going to take this, but my mother's not Welsh, and Comin is not her real name. Her family came here from Russia, where their name was spelled with a K, which is a variation of Cohen. Cynthia's eyes were growing very large. My mom's Jewish, Cynthia. So what? She said defiantly. This is America. Ground control calling Cynthia. Hello? We live in Brighton. He let out a sarcastic laugh. But that's not all, Cynthia. She glanced at the kids who were waiting in line to use the phone. They were getting impatient. She had to put another dime in and silently pleaded with them, 1 more minute. What else? Evan was saying. Let's see. My father was excommunicated from the Catholic Church in Chicago, which is apparently why we moved here. She was still on. Mrs. Whitaker was Jewish? As a requirement of her communicants class, she had to read about Judaism and attend a Saturday service at a Stanford synagogue. This was part of why she leaned towards her father's church, the Presbyterian Church, because the Presbyterian Church wanted people to know about the other major religions before they joined, so they understood the difference and really wanted to be a part of it. Maybe she should join the Presbyterian Church. And guess what? Evan said. There's more? She asked, feeling a little weak. Yeah, there's more. I'm a bastard. My father's still married to the mother of the Three Stooges. The Three Stooges were what Evan called his 3 half-brothers. Here I go again repeating myself, but oh, wow. Is this going to be something for Ancestry.com in 50 years? Poor Evan. This poor kid. Well, I can hardly wait to hear what's wrong with him next week. I mean, what's left? Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this podcast, The Class of 74, I hope that you will subscribe wherever you get your podcast and maybe even rate it if you would, because it does help with everything. And I also have a very lovely announcement. The Class of 74 is proud to announce it has a producer now named Ryann Robinson, who is not only bright, gifted, and artistically fantastic. She's also very nice, and she gets me. So welcome, Ryann, and thank you for coming with us. And now, my friends, it's time to bid you farewell, and I will see you next week on Friday. And please, please, please remember, we don't drink and drive anymore. Ever. Okay? Take care. Be well.